Action.
All right, all right.
Flying high with Paul Niehaus. How's it going, man?
Hey, great. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing great. We can kind of settle in here a little bit. It seems a little punchy, right? Like in your face. Yeah, man. So this is kind of a conversation I've been looking forward to having for a little while.
Well, thank you.
It kind of came first on my radar, maybe through the Falling Fences lens. They were had you on as a bass player one night at McGurk's.
Yep.
And then I kind of noticed you're popping up like as a fill-in guy for a lot of different bands. I guess that's something you've always been doing.
Yes.
Where did your musical background come from? How long you been playing? Let's
Brief
start
sy-
at the beginning.
Okay, brief synopsis. Fourth grade band. Start on the trumpet. Fall in love with music. Keep doing it. Ninth grade, I add French horn. 10th grade, saxophone. 11th grade, I get my first guitar and bass. Start
What
dabbling.
school district?
I went to Catholic school.
Catholic school.
Yeah.
Around St. Louis somewhere?
Yep, in St.
Okay.
Louis, yep.
Surprised still some good music teachers in the Catholic school, I would imagine.
You know, the grade school band program was tiny. It was like literally like 5, 6, 7 kids. And it was like an after school program. And I'll never forget the first time that we put like all the different Catholic school, like little tiny programs together and did like something with like maybe 50, 60 people. Like the goosebumps that I got from just hearing all that in a room. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is why I'm here on the earth. So I knew at a young age that music would be my calling. I didn't know exactly what it would look like, but I went to Truman State for music and got a bachelor's of music and a minor in folklore. And because I love folk music, I love oral traditions, I love passing things down from generation to generation. I love ancestral knowledge, all that kind of stuff, story, narrative.
Awesome.
So yeah, and
So that gives me a little bit more insight as to what's going on
yeah,
up there in your mind. And you
absolutely.
just recently got voted, what was it, best studio in St. Louis?
The Reader's Choice for the RFT Best Recording Studio, which
Nice.
I was pleasantly surprised to see, and yeah, it's.
Is that something you applied for? Or is that
No,
something
I didn't even know that there
they were
was
just
voting
like,
on it. It was
yeah,
just
me
like,
either.
yeah, somebody sent me a picture. Oh wow, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's really awesome. I know, our band recently got a chance to go over there and do a couple tracks. We're definitely talking about when we get to come back and do some more.
yeah,
Got a really comfortable vibe. Like what's some of the artists you've worked with there? What's some like memorable experiences at Blue Lotus that really stand out for you? Artists
Yeah.
you like to work with?
yeah. I would say I especially appreciate working with like kind of the elder, kind of what I would call legends like Roland Johnson, Gene Jackson, Marty Abdullah, didn't get to work with Oliver Sane, but he's a huge influence to me. Marcel Strong, excuse me, before he passed away. It's just things like that, because, I'm 36, so getting to have a musical connection with these guys in their late 60s, 70s, even higher, that means a lot to me. I've always surrounded myself with musicians of an older school and because I think there's a lot to learn from that. Even as a kid, I never really listened to the music of my peers growing up. I was always into the oldies station, the old good music. Thanks to like the carpooler and my parents. Like I was kind of sheltered, and that's what I listened to. I wasn't that exposed to. I was born in '86. The music of the '90s or the 2000s. I might have heard it here and there, but I have some huge gaps in my musical knowledge, and I'm okay with that. So.
I definitely got a early music education working with my dad. Like I remember vividly, like out front of my dad used to sell propane. I'd be out there like pulling the weeds for a summer job, but they'd have Clue 103 on. Like the oldies was definitely the first introduction to music outside. Like I guess just like my first remembrance of music overall. And it's definitely gone down different paths since then. Like first concert my parents took me to was Garth Brooks.
Fantastic.
And that dude's a legend just in
Absolutely.
not only songwriting but performance as well.
Certainly.
And then I got my rock and roll education, I feel like, from Radio Rich on K-Hits.
Yep.
Again, working with my dad, and like he exposed me to a lot of music. He took me to see Steppenwolf.
Wow.
And who else? Molly Hatchet was on that.
Wow.
Maybe Marshall Tucker Band. Steppenwolf,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, you're speaking my language, man.
That was really cool stuff. So yeah, like, how did you seek out, or how did you the relationship between you and these legends come to be? Is that something you seeked out on your own, or did they come to you because of a skill?
A little of both. You know, what year was it? You know, I got out of school in 2009. I went and worked on a cruise ship, and for a 5-month contract playing guitar. Then I joined a blues band and toured around. And when I got back from that, I was like, you know, I started going down to Hammerstones, BB's, Beale on Broadway, just like a couple nights a week, and just seeing the live music scene and getting used to, you know, here's the songs they play, here's the style they play, just all the old cats, you know, like the Ground Floor Band, like, and Roland and all these types of people. And, you know, some nights it'd be packed and it'd be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And some nights it'd just be like literally 3 people in the audience. And regardless, it was always rewarding for me just to be steeped in that tradition and to learn that tradition and to talk to these guys on their breaks and get advice from them and ask them specific questions about this or that. And then it was 2015, I got to produce an album for the St. Louis Blues Society called 15 and 15. So that was the first of 5 compilation albums I got to do with the Blues Society, which was an honor. And so through that, I got to work with them and bring them to my studio and saw how it was like to work with each other.
So yeah, you've got a studio already going, and then how does that?
Yeah.
How do they reach out to you to produce that? Is that again something you
Well,
stuck
yeah.
your hand out for you in the right place at the right time? Or?
Kind of. I was on the board of the Blues Society starting in 2014, and they did a compilation in 2014 where they took a song from 14 different bands' albums that they already put out, and they put them together. Well, then we had this idea, well, what if we did it all new instead of taking songs everyone did at different places at different times and what different qualities and whatever? Let's just have it all like the same production. So I said, well, I would love to produce an album, and I'll volunteer my time. So the first 2 years I did it for free, and that was so worth it to me, you know. It's like, because like through that I got to work with Roland Johnson, and we wrote a song together, me, him, and Kevin O'Connor. Kevin O'Connor is one of my best friends and co-producer on a lot of my records, a great arranger of strings and horns and all kinds of things like that. So, and that opened the door to Roland coming back and us writing more songs and making a whole album, which was the first release on my record label, which is called Blue Lotus Recordings.
Nice.
It came out in 2016. So that started it. And fast forward to now in 2022, we've just put out our 20th release. So just steadily moving forward, you know. Me and Kevin are both introverts, so we've been kind of camera shy and thinking more so just trying to put points on the board of making records of quality that we're proud of. So like, you know, the integration for the future is like getting over our camera shyness and just realizing, well, if we don't promote it, no one's going to. So,
Sure.
you know, yeah.
For sure. I think it's something there's 2 things I wanted to touch on there, you know, like the idea of the record label and like doing something for the artist that the artist can't do for themselves, whether that's donating your time to make sure that it gets out there. And I think that's something that me and Kyle have chatted about, is like, the time's the most valuable thing that you have as a
Yes, it
person,
is.
right? So like to offer it up for something you believe in is
Yeah.
like really, you know, showing where your heart's at, I feel like. But the opportunities that come back to you once you've extended that, I feel like continues to come back tenfold across the board, as I'm sure you've seen. I've seen it in my own life as well.
Absolutely.
Just putting yourself out there to be a part of something cool that's
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
just to be a part of it and not being worried about where the money's coming from and how it's going to be. Like, not to say that you don't need to be compensated, because everyone does need to be compensated, but if you're looking at the bigger picture and you miss out on the opportunity because you're trying to make ends meet
Yeah.
with the opportunity, then you might not be in the right place, I guess.
Absolutely, man. 100%.
Awesome. Well, how would you say your approach to getting a good take in the studio? How do you handle that from when the artist gets there to actually giving them the finished product?
My philosophy is when an artist arrives at the studio, everything should be as much set up and ready to go as possible. Understand what their goals are. Make sure that they're immediately comfortable. I've been a sideman in some sessions where I get to a studio at the time that I've been told to get there, and because nothing's plugged in or ready to go or sound checked, it's literally like 2.5 hours after you get there till you're actually pressing the red light to do something. And to me, that is stifling. It is stagnant. It just diffuses the creative energy. Then
For
like
sure.
the people just start small talking about things that don't matter.
Right.
So like when an artist comes, I'm kind of trying to meet them on their level, let them talk about whatever they want to talk about, not try to inject my agenda too much verbally, because I want to make sure they're in a natural and comfortable environment to do their best work. And so yeah, it's get them recording as quickly as possible. Maybe let them hear back what happened. It depends how well rehearsed a band is, but often, yeah, the first, second, third take, that's the magic. You can keep going and going and going, but you're not necessarily going to beat it.
Yeah.
And often a day of like scratch vocal might be better than the vocalist coming back at future sessions and trying to do it better, even though in their mind they're so confident. Oh, I've sung it in the shower 100 times since that day.
Yeah.
I know I can do it better. It's like, well, let's listen to this one, then this one. It's clear that one was better.
Yeah. And what do you think makes it a better take? Is that energy that comes off of it? Is it? It's
an energetic,
a preparedness for the part.
It's an energetic, spiritual, vibrational thing. It's that moment of creation when a song or an idea comes, that that feeling in your gut. That's what we're all chasing,
Yeah.
and perhaps when you're just there in the moment and you're so in it, you're not thinking about it so much, and it just is a natural thing.
Why do you think it's so easy for artists to get taken back and not be able to give that performance? Do you deal with that other than when my band's in there?
Always, it's a psychological game. Like being a producer is, it's just trying to get someone in the most natural, artistic, comfortable state to do their best work, and not everyone's the same. Like people are puzzled.
The recipe's not always the
no,
same.
exactly. It's not. It's not. Yeah. So like some bands, literally every take they do, it gets a little better because they're listening and talking about this and that, and they're listening, and everyone like refines their part as they go. Some bands, it's just, you better be ready on that first take, because it's literally they're gonna, like, whether it's a combination of blood sugars or what energy or whatever, like they're just gonna go downhill. So it's never the same. But yeah, and sometimes the best thing is, hey, let's take 5, let's take 10, go outside, get some air, let's come back.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I really like the overall vibe. There's plenty of room to stretch out, and plenty of cool vintage instruments there to just kind of sets the aesthetic vibe of your in an old school recording studio. But the service and the laid backness of your approach, I really appreciated that.
Thank you so much.
While we were there,
I appreciate that.
Did the Drifters Mile ever come and record? Did that ever work out?
That's Deacon's band?
Yep.
Not yet. I've been in communication with him. He knows the door's open. He's
Sure.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'd like to.
Yeah, I was just interested if that ever came to fruition. We, for those of people that don't know, Paul was a sponsor of the Pickin' On Picnic 2021, I believe, where Drifters Mile was a band competition winner at the music festival, and they won a recording session with Paul.
That's right. Let's do it, Deacon.
Yeah, come on, Deacon. We're calling you out. Let's get that done. We need to make some content.
He's a talented dude for sure.
Yeah, it's a fun band. They kind of got like a Irish grass sound between the banjo and I want to say I even saw an accordion in the band too, but it's neither here nor there.
Love it, man. That's that folk. It's just like, it's the folk tradition. Like, so-and-so from down the road, he has this instrument, they have this instrument, and let's bring it together. And it's like, the whole folk versus like academic tradition, it's like, I've thought about that a lot in my years, and just like what makes something good or bad. And
me and I had Pat Kay on the show just a couple days ago, and he's really a purveyor of the Ozark stomp sound. And something I noticed while doing the Pickin' On music festivals, while you might hear the same song from a band from Minnesota and the same song from a band in Arkansas, the kind of like vernacular twang in the way they play it and the way they sing it is not exactly the same whatsoever, but it almost gives a zip code or a regionality to the style in a lot of ways, even though all that old time traditional folk music was brought over from European, Spanish, everywhere else, I guess.
Absolutely.
You probably know more about that than I do, right?
Oh man, yeah, it's a melting pot. I mean, that where it came to Appalachia and from Scotland and Africa and the Caribbean, all of it's just like, yeah, that's what I love about folk and roots music and the blues and all the branches from the blues. It's just this crazy gumbo of influences.
It definitely seems like St. Louis is a good spot for that to get mixed up, and you hear so much influence in everyone's music. Everyone's that's putting out music now in our town, it seems like it really draws from a lot of areas and a lot of different sounds.
Absolutely.
I guess what's been happening since the dawn of time, right? We all collaborate and learn how to make music with each other.
That's right.
It's a wonderful sound.
There's nothing new under the sun. There's only 12 notes. You can make a masterpiece with just 3 crayons from the box or whatever. Like rules and boundaries are aids to creativity, not hindrances. I have found that.
Nice. So definitely have seen you on stage as a bass man.
Yep.
Seen you play keys.
Yep.
Seen you play guitar.
Yeah.
What else are you doing?
I do drums. I like drums. I do a little harmonica and mess around on something like a mandolin or something,
Do you find yourself recording drums whenever it's needed there at the studio?
I love to.
Yeah.
I love to. And I'm a very, by necessity, simple and pocket drummer. I don't have all the fanciest fills. I don't have all the crazy whatever. I just, whatever instrument I'm on, including drums, it's about what does this song need? What serves the song? What could I take out to make it better? Yeah.
What could I take out to make it better? I like that.
Yeah.
That's my music instructor in high school, Matt Soklin. Like one of the things he said, he said a lot of things, not a whole lot of them stuck, but one that really did was like the most important note you could play is nothing at all.
Yeah.
And I try to express that in almost every musical project that I've been in as of just over the course of time that keeps coming back around. Like the music doesn't have to be so busy. When you can give it some air to breathe, that's when the groove and the pocket really develops for me, I feel like.
Absolutely. Groove, pocket. These are unquantifiable things. They're in the moment, visceral feelings. You press play, you feel it. You can't put it on paper. You could, but it doesn't convey the true nuance of what makes groove. It must be learned experientially, in the moment, listening to it. There's levels to it,
For sure.
Someone can be great, okay, great, but then there's always levels above it,
Yeah, where do you think that, as a bass player and as a drummer, because you do that simultaneously, or you can play them both, what does it take? As a drummer, what are you looking for from the bass player to be in the pocket? As a bass player, what are you looking for from the drummer to be in the pocket? Is it the same thing?
Maybe. Let me think about that. I'm going to answer, if I'm on bass, what am I looking for in a drummer first?
Yeah.
If I'm on anything, what am I looking for in a drummer? I'm looking for restraint. I'm looking for taste. I don't want fills every 4 bars. I don't want to crash every bar. No, that's just, you can learn all the fanciest fills and techniques, but at the end of the day, most people, there's nothing wrong with just boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop. It's like just last night I put on headphones and I played along with Tom Petty's "You Don't Know How It Feels," and you're playing along, you're thinking, oh, for sure he's gonna do goo 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 or a crash. It's like, no,
he's
literally
straight the whole time.
Yeah, and that's
that
okay.
That does take restraint, because every drummer I know is this one goes out to you, Kyle Ray. I'm looking at you, buddy. But every drummer I know, man, the want to do more because it's right there, and they seem like little fidgety guys, Drummers are fidgety and got to be doing something. You know? But man, when you find those guys that can really just not do that, it sits so much better whenever they do it. When it comes back around and the fill happens and it's tasteful.
Yes. Yes.
Then
it means something,
right,
because it's not all the time and too much. And another important thing for a drummer, from my perspective, is a very clear and authoritative kick pattern, very clear and strong, consistent snare backbeat. You can put ghost notes and all that stuff in, cool. And don't overplay the cymbals. Trust me, everyone hears the cymbals out there. They cut, okay, guys? You don't need to bash it. Like, if make sure the drums are strong and the cymbals are there. If it's the inverse, I can't stand it. It drives me crazy. Where it's brashy cymbals but not a clear kick and snare. It's like, no, you're missing the whole point of it.
The clear kick is definitely something that any intuitive players, I feel like, can pick up on that. And now when the subwoofer's hitting, it's got some thump to it, and there's not the muddiness coming across there as well.
Absolutely.
I played with a drummer a couple times, and he's a great drummer, but he plays so straight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he knows what the swing is.
Oh, yeah, swing. Yeah.
It's hard for me to get in the pocket because it's so straight.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what to do to fix it, because obviously I don't want to hurt the guy's feelings,
Yeah.
But in communicating that to another musician, sometimes you got to set your feelings aside, right? And again, do what's best for the song.
Yep.
So bringing it back around, if you're the drummer, and you're needing something from the bass player, what are you needing from that situation?
A groovy pattern that is the bass is the bridge between the drums and the harmonic instruments, and the bass is actually what more so gets people dancing more so than the drums often.
Sure.
And a creative pattern that complements the song and that is hooky, if it needs to be, which I like that. It's genre dependent. But if it doesn't, just simple. There's nothing wrong with just dum 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 dum. Just it's okay to pump eighth notes on one thing. So not too busy. Meat and potatoes, mostly down like in the lower register of the notes. Occasionally, maybe you go up and do something fancy, but like if you kind of go way up and like, then it's like, well, where'd the bottom go?
Right.
So, just understanding the role, like, because bass is a service role, even more so than drums, in my opinion. It's a foundation for everyone to stand on. It's the foundation for the vocalist, which is the most important thing in the song.
Yep.
And it's the foundation for the soloist when the vocalist isn't singing, because that's what takes the role of that lead center of the picture voice. So it's like holding that up and realizing, I don't need the focus, I don't need the accolades, I don't need everyone to be like, whoa, listen to the bass player. Like, is it because if attention is being drawn to the bass player, something's kind of wrong, in my opinion. Like, it should just be like a bridge for everyone else to stand on that's rock solid into the ground.
Yep. I think that makes a lot of sense, man. I like hearing other musicians, especially producers' perspective of knowing the role. As I move further into playing the pedal steel, like the extra notes, there's only 12, right? But there's different placements of those notes. It seems like that as a bass player for 25 plus years, it's trying to relearn where those notes go,
Absolutely.
Wow. Anything else you want to talk about?
Let's see, man.
Anything cool and exciting? You're doing the Jeremiah Johnson Band thing.
Yeah,
that seems to be going pretty well.
That's going well,
And you guys recorded the latest album. That's
right.
Doing well on the Billboard charts. Right now.
Yeah, it just came out last Friday, and it's doing well. And
was that Hi-Fi Drive-By?
Hi-Fi Drive-By, and
recorded at Blue Lotus.
Yep.
Yep.
I got to produce that album, and my co-producer for that album was the legendary Tom Maloney. He's a 70-year-old St. Louis musician he's been one of my best friends for like 10 years and a mentor to me, and he's truly a remarkable man. And it was really great to have him as a co-producer, we're really proud of that record. I played bass on it. I played keyboards. Tom played guitar, Jeremiah played guitar and sang, obviously, and my buddy Kevin O'Connor did some horn and string arrangements. So
nice.
It's the first time that JJ's records have had like strings on it, like a string section. Two of the songs have, and more so like horn sections that are written out and stuff. And
did the same guys play horns? Sax player's name? I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, Frank Bauer.
Yeah,
Frank played the sax. Casimir Taylor played trumpet, and Jeremiah and Casimir have a connection with. They went to grade school back in the day together, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And then Kevin O'Connor, who did the arranging, played Barry sax, and Dave Dickey and John Cavelli played trombone.
Wow, so full on horn section,
yeah.
not just
not just two or three
sax,
horns, like
yeah.
4 horns.
Awesome.
And The background vocals were done by Emily Wallace and the River Kittens, so that was really
Can't
sweet.
get any better than that.
Yeah, it was great to work with them, and just proud of that record. That's the second record I got to produce for Jeremiah, and I'm excited to be in his band, and we're grateful to have Kyle Ray doing a great job on the drum chair for the band. He's brought a youthful energy, and excited for that.
I'm definitely have to dig more into that album. I've heard just bits of it over here while Kyle's been practicing it, getting the chops up, but also I dug into some of like the quicksand video and some of the other stuff you guys are doing, getting into booking mode and see if we can pull some more gigs out of the hat for you.
Totally. We appreciate that.
But yeah, it's I guess let's go back to the producer thing and producing that album. Like, was it your idea to bring the River Kittens, Emily Wallace in there? Is that something that Jeremiah was looking into? Or
if I remember, I think it was me that suggested we use them. Yeah.
And as the producer, do you just let the musicians get in there and let them have their way with what's going on? Are you interjecting ideas into the situation? Or?
Oh, it's certainly both. As a producer, you one of your best resources is the gut reaction and ideas that a good musician brings to the table. So you want their input and their idea. It doesn't mean that's what you'll go with necessarily, but you'd be a fool to dismiss that and to tell them this is what you're going to do. You have to be open. You have to leave room for God. You have to be, leave. They might have a better idea. So that's part of it. And then, so the magic of digital recording. It's just zeros and ones. It's practically free. It's not tape. So you get a bunch of different ideas. It's like, well, that was a cool take. Now can you what if you tried it like this? And just being clear about direct feedback, and. But then again, as we said earlier, everyone's a little different. Like some people's brains are a little different. So instead of like a direct, logical, rational explanation of, well, can you do this and like this instead? You might have to say, well, that sounded green. Can you do it more purple? Or, just more abstract, non-linear, by analogy, etc. So yeah.
Did Jeremiah come to the session with all those songs ready to go, and you kind of piece through them? Or
no, Jeremiah, Tom, and myself started meeting once a week in January and working on song ideas, arrangements. We tossed around 20 plus different ideas. We recorded the album in May, so between January and May, about once a week on average, we would get together and refine the ideas and say, well, what if we tried this bridge? What if we tried this section? So
the pre-production. I really got down in that part of the process early on in my band career, I would say. But that's something I've really been able to dive into with Cody, is helping develop those songs from this wonderful raw idea into something that does have more of a structure to it that a band can follow, and we can really develop the songs into their full potential. Totally. I'm really finding a lot of fun and joy in that part of the process now. At this day and age, where 20 years ago it was somewhat hectic, we get a little more well-rounded as we age out, I guess.
Structure's a good thing. It's like first learn the rules, then you can feel free to break the rules. But if you break the rules before learning the rules, no, I ain't down with that. It's like learn the rules, then break them, because So
I think that makes a lot of sense there, man. I think that was a good spot to wrap it up and
awesome.
Send it out to the folks out there in TV land.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And
for sure.
I'd like to ask folks to go to bluelotusrecordings.com.
Oh yeah.
Check out the music we got there, and
people can purchase CDs from everyone you worked with.
That's right.
On there, right?
That's right.
Awesome.
And thanks for doing what you're doing. And you're spreading a lot of positivity and love and light in these dark ages. And we thank you.
Well, that's something we didn't get into, man.
Well, we can if you like.
Yeah, I mean, we're here. We might as well do it. I might have to let's take a 2-second break.
Okay.
That break was brought to you by drinkfree.co. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we're back. So in the last segment, we didn't get into the dark stuff, the deep, dark truths, but something I've been wanting to ask you, and I may have asked you this through a personal message already, but being in the music industry during the pandemic seemed to be hard on everyone.
Very.
And it seemed like everyone was seeing things from different perspectives.
Yes.
And I know me and you probably got into several internet meme battles, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's tough to, like, maintain a persona and be a likable person and want people to spend all this time getting people to want to like you and like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then have people lash out to you.
Yeah.
About the way you think about stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess I just wondered your thoughts on navigating that terrain during the hard times, and like where it's kind of left you. Where do you think things are at now and moving forward? How can we continue to be free but keep our voice heard?
Yeah. God, man, it's such a deep question. I think that the reminder that I have to remind myself is that I can have the strength to say what I believe needs to be said, and that if I want it to be heard, I must do it in a respectful and loving way. Yeah. And because in the pandemic, it was really a message of if you defy the narrative, you're a bad person, and you don't get to say any of that. You'll be censored, you'll be demonized, you'll be labeled with labels that don't apply to you, but people want them to apply to you. So overall, I'm a huge supporter of the First Amendment and the right to expression. I will defend someone I disagree with's right to speak and to say their views. But it feels like there's a large movement now that doesn't get to happen anymore, where a lot of people have abandoned the idea that everyone has the right to get the ideas out there.
Yeah, only if it's their idea. Is it a good one?
Yeah,
right?
or if it conforms with fact checkers or whatever, So, no, I
Well, it seemed interesting that, a lot of us seem to be able to, like, see through the bullshit. But at the same time, it seems so real from the opposite perspective.
Yeah.
I feel like guys like me and you can kind of see both sides of the coin and not necessarily be pointing fingers at the other side, but trying to, like, come to an understanding in the middle of, like, what's really going on here. And trying to be seekers of the truth.
Yes.
In a way that is not name calling or even, I guess we need to be defensive of what we think and what we believe, but not in a way that's going to, like, offend someone.
Well, I think that if the metric was not offending someone, no, man,
We're too far past that.
Yes, right? We're deep in this game. There are what I would call psychological operations, psyops. Who's orchestrating them? I don't know, but I see them, and it's the time to speak brave truths. It is the time to be brave and firm in what you believe is the truth. And I'll defend, even if you're on some other side of an issue, I'll defend your right to speak your truth too. Because if we're going to collectively figure out what is going on, which none of us know, what's going on right now? Mm-hmm. No one knows. If they say they know, they don't.
For sure. We can all speculate.
I love to speculate. But my message would be integration. Integration is the key to moving forward. We are one human family, or we are one human race. I don't play the games of dividing people by any of those boundaries, and I think anyone that does is misguided. And integration, the idea that there's a valid perspective in the world for seeing and acting in a, quote, liberal way, and there's a valid time and perspective in the world for thinking and acting in a, quote, conservative way. It's absurd to think it's either or and that it's a binary. No, we need to integrate it. What are the best ideas of liberalism? What are the best ideas of conservatism? And put that together. That is the truth. It's a Venn diagram, and in the middle, that's what we're going for. But if this, it feels like to me the two like polarized camps have stopped communicating across the gap, and
Absolutely.
almost they've it's like a galvanizing. And that's very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely dangerous.
Well, it also becomes an echo chamber for both sides.
Yep.
To just be regurgitating the same thing while not ever hearing a new viewpoint that could change your mind.
Absolutely.
And, like, changing your mind is like the biggest thing you can do as an adult, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like,
totally.
admitting you were wrong and
Yeah.
looking at from a new perspective.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. So that's my message is guys and gals out there, we need liberals. We need conservatives. If we're gonna make it, we just have to respect each other, talk in a non-emotional, calm way, and to get the best ideas out there. Let the best ideas win. We don't censor ideas. We don't censor people we disagree with. If we keep doing that, that's not a good road. We know where that leads. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. In my estimation, we're in what's called the fourth turning. Good times create, you know what I mean? What is it? Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. So we're in and you forget men. It's whatever, people, whatever. We're in the weak people make hard times. We're in hard times. I'm afraid it's going to get worse. Inflation, food scarcity, etc. Stay calm. Keep your connection with God. Have faith. Take care of your friends and your family, your community. That's what it's about. The government, guys, sorry, it's not coming to save us. If you think the government cares about you and is coming to save anyone, no. You haven't studied history. So, no one's coming to save you. Save yourselves. Don't let people intimidate you. That was a part of the lesson for me in the pandemic is, it was a lot of pain that I got back from the negative feedback and the demonization of me questioning lockdowns, vaccine mandates, etc. But I think in the end, it's made me a stronger, more secure person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? Everyone's going to have haters. If you're an entrepreneur and doing things or outspoken, you're going to have haters. It comes with it.
The haters is what makes you famous, bro. For real.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing that right now. So not on this podcast.
Right.
Of course,
Right.
But.
It's just energy, and you pray for your enemies. Live well. Yeah. I don't wish ill will on anyone, but if you're an opponent to free speech, if you're an opponent to the free expression of ideas, no, I disagree with you.
Agree with that.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks again. Coming live from the Brand Barn here with Paul Niehaus.
Excellent.